Welcome to Awake to Oneness Radio. I am Caroline Chang, your host. The mission of Awake to Oneness Radio is to inspire the world to awaken to the universal truth of oneness. Science is now teaching us that all life is interconnected and interdependent, that we are all one. And ancient wisdom and spirituality has been teaching the truth of oneness for eons. So what you do to another person, you're literally doing to another aspect of yourself. And when mankind awakens to the universal truth of oneness, there will be peace on earth. Today's show topic is your body, mind, and soul with Lara. I almost said your last name first. With Lara Alexiou. Thank you. This is Laura's second time with us on Awake to Oneness Radio, and we're so happy to have her with us. And I actually get to see her because she's local. She's not far, and she has a hot yoga studio in Scranton, Pennsylvania, which is only 30 minutes away, and I've gotten the honor of meeting Lara in person. Thank you, Lara, for coming back on Awake to Oneness Radio.
Thank you. I was so excited when you asked me to come back. I know we had a great time last time, and it's great to be here again and to be reintroduced to all of your listeners and hopefully some new friends as well. Yes.
So please, Lara, please tell them a little bit about you. I know you in person. I've met you in person, and I love hot yoga. I discovered hot yoga through you and Steamtown Hot Yoga. But please tell our listeners, those that may have not listened to our first show, tell them all about yourself.
Yes, thank you. I will. So my name is Lara Alexiou, and I have been either teaching yoga, meditation, qigong, some form of the Eastern healing arts since 2003. I feel that I began my personal practice around probably my first class was in 1999. Gosh, I feel like I'm dating myself, right? It's like a long time ago now, but I started with different kinds of yoga, like a lot of people. Here we are at the new year. It was a personal New Year's resolution. I was like, you know what? I need to do some yoga. What should I do? So I just kind of dabbled in different kinds of classes. I was living in Washington, D.C. at the time. And I kind of tried this and tried that. And then I found a hot yoga class and was like, oh my gosh, this is the most amazing thing.
It just changes your life.
It did. It literally changed my life, and it helped me make my life what it is today. You know, prior to that time, like so many people, I had no yoga experience, and like this is, the year 2000, like which isn't that long ago, but in the world of yoga, in healing, in Eastern arts, like it wasn't quite what it is today. Today you've got this great following, you've got this great podcast, like that wasn't happening, at the time. So I was very much like, what is this? And what am I doing? And what is this new part of myself I'm discovering? Right. And I started discovering a lot of what you're talking about. I started discovering a lot of that connected feeling, not just to myself, but to other people I was coming into contact with. And, anyone who's taken any kind of class and experienced that, I know that they know what I'm talking about, that you really just kind of get smacked in the face and go, wow, there's so much more out there than I knew. And I'm connected to so many more things. So that started me on my journey of discovering, really just wanting to know all about as much of this Eastern healing art as I could. And that led me to different trainings in different places. And ultimately it led me here to Scranton, Pennsylvania, which is now where I call home, and celebrated 10 years of the studio in November 1st. So that was amazing that happened. And over that time, I've really tried to bring as much knowledge as I can to the students that come into my life, to the different people coming into my life. And the next step of that after the studio then was publishing my book.
Right.
Called Yes.
Now, before we get into the book, which we will, before I want you to share with our listeners, because there was something when I discovered you actually on YouTube with your TED Talk. And I'm not sure what year you did that, but you mentioned something else happened significant in 2003.
Yes.
Can you share that with that? Because that really kind of spoke to me, because I had a similar situation with a family member. So
that's what brought us together, I would say.
Yes.
What happened in 2003 was I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And for a lot of our listeners who may not know really what that is, it's an autoimmune disease, which means that the body attacks itself. And they don't really know why exactly. It's really something like a lot of autoimmune. It doesn't exactly have a pinpointed known cause.
Right.
And while there are treatment options, there's really no known cure for it at this time. And everybody's experience with what happens is very different. You can talk to 100 different people who've been diagnosed, and they will have 100 different stories in how it's manifested.
Well, let me just share, also just interject there. What touched me was my daughter, who is now 37, was also diagnosed. She was 23 at the time, was also diagnosed the same exact year. In 2003.
Oh, I didn't know it was the same year.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
It was the same year. The same exact year my daughter was diagnosed. And I have shared all of this Eastern healing knowledge with her, but it has to be something that person, like you said, every person is different. Every person will experience it differently, but it has to be an openness to another way of healing, and you have to be open. So it's just that. But yes, it was the exact same year, 2003, she was diagnosed. So please continue. Tell us some more about it.
I was in 2003, I was 25. It was right before my 26th birthday at that time. And for myself, it manifested in some tingling, for lack of a better word. There's like a nerve tingling that happens. And that was happening in both my legs. There was pain, like the walking. Anyone who's had any kind of nerve damage, like there's sort of that lightning bolt shooting pain. There was that kind of feeling. I went blind in my right eye. That's a very common blindness in one eye. It's called optic neuritis. That can be very common for some people with that. And also this very strange, that's the word, that's my word, that's not a scientific word, but like a very strange fatigue, just a muscular, like I think that's one of the hardest things to convey, because you just can't understand, like just walking 20 feet was an effort. Going upstairs took like, okay, there's these stairs in front of me, and you're going to get up these stairs, like you really have to, and, your daughter's 23, I was 26. It often in women, you are often in your 20s if you're diagnosed early. Sometimes people don't catch it because it's like these
hard
things you can't put your finger on, so you're not always sure what's going on. And, it's hard to explain to someone, like, no, I can't walk from here to there. Like you have to park the car closer. I can't carry these groceries. Like, it's so hard to be like, a healthy 20 something. And then you go through this change. So that was very difficult for me. And I really drew upon my yoga practice that I had at the time to help me navigate this new part of myself, like what was going on and what was happening, and to help me emotionally. Anyone who's dealt with any kind of chronic disease, whether it be personally or within the family, it's just like, it's always there, and you have to find ways to deal with your stress and to deal with your anxiety, also because those things then physically affect how you feel and your well-being. So I wanted to have as much working in my favor as I
Right.
could. So one thing I do speak about in the book, and I do want people to know, I did take very conventional Western treatments. You know, like
Okay.
there's always, I do believe like there's kind of an East meets West, you know, there's sort of a happy medium. And you have,
Right.
it's, you know, like we talk about, it's always individual, person to
Yes.
person, but you know,
Yes.
something's happening and you don't know. So you get all the Western help that you can. But, you know, I was into yoga and I believed in yoga. So I was like,
Yes.
well, you know what, maybe I can do all of these things that scientifically is important and they say to do, but maybe there's something else. Maybe there are these other things that I can do, and maybe it'll help physically, maybe it won't, but I knew that at the soul level,
Yes.
it was helping me. Like, you know, there are things that taking a conventional medicine can't help you with. There's just something on the inside about yourself, and that has to come from within. You can't take something outside and put it in you to help you. You have to do those things for yourself. And I believe that's where the Eastern arts come in. You know, that's why these practices are important, because it's like creating your own personal medicinal elixir from the inside out that helps you. And so I became very, 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 very focused on those aspects of my practice and my personal well-being.
Yes. And then you started to, can you share how, you know, quickly you started to see improvement when you focused a lot on your yoga? How quickly?
Did. You know, I will say that I remember being very, very anxious when I was first diagnosed, and even like for the first few years, even like just really, you know, kind of hit you, and you're like, you know, you don't really know what to do or where to go from that. But I always maintained my practice. I mean, there were days, and I write about this in my book. There were days that I couldn't go to work. Like I couldn't get up. I couldn't focus my brain. But my best friend, she would come pick me up. She's like, I'm going to pick you up. I'm going to drag you up the steps. We had to go upstairs to get to the yoga class. She's like, I'll drag you up those steps. And once you're on your mat, if you want to just lay down and have a meltdown, you can. But you're going to go to this class, and you know, you just see what you can do. And so I just did, just day after day, I did that. And I started feeling better. I started feeling stronger in my body, because there's that fatigue that we talk about that's so abstract, because it's not like a muscle, like, oh, I can lift weights and now I'm stronger. Like, it's not that. It's more of a deep-seated feeling. Yes. But I felt stronger in myself, in my consciousness, like in my very being. So I felt like I could face this, and that I kind of think I felt like I didn't need to face it. Like that was also like being young. I didn't want to be defined by that. I didn't want anybody to be like, well, you can't be in this kind of relationship. You can't have this kind of job. You can't, like, I didn't want like these, you can't coming at me. I only was interested in yes. I was only interested in, this is what I want to do. So I'm just gonna do it. And if I keep up this practice, then I believe that things are going to open up for me. And I started feeling better just on all levels. I started feeling better. And ultimately, to the point, which I think you know, that I no longer take medication. I did for many years, but it's been now, I have to count exactly, but I think it's been, even since before I got married, I'm going to say it's been 6 or 7 years now that I've been, you know, hallelujah, I've been asymptomatic. I've been feeling good. I continue to get checkups, because you never know, and you have to be smart about those things. And I'm really diligent about my practice, because the thing with yoga, with meditation, with these healing arts, is you can't do it, get a result, and stop doing it. Like and that's why it's lifestyle. It's meant to be lifestyle, that you keep doing it. You find a way to incorporate these things into your everyday. So it's not well, I have to do this today. It's just, this is who I am and what I do. And this is how my life is. And I try to have everything in my life revolving around that. And that's also a big part of the book, that I thought, you know what, like if I do these things, and, you know, I've had certain challenges, but other people have their own challenges. And if I can do it, you can do it. Anyone can do it, as long as you're willing. I mean, just like you said, you have to do your share by stepping up to the bat. After that, I wanted to give people just an idea of what helps me, of what I do in my everyday that isn't like, okay, what am I going to do today to stay on my path? It's just, this is what I do. This is how I do it. And I wanted to give people some of those tools, some of those ideas, some of the, hey, this is how I do it. What would this look like in your life? And
yes.
That's what I try to teach. That's what I really believe in.
Yes. And like you said, you have recently published your first book. You hold up your copy.
All right.
I hold up my copy.
Here it is.
Yes. Yes. So please now tell us, this is Become the Architect of Your Body, Mind, and Soul. So please share. How did that book come about, and all that you share in the book?
Yes. Well, it also stems back to my TED Talk that you were talking about previously. That was in 2014. I was asked to do that. There was an organization here in Scranton that was putting together a TED Talk here, and I knew some of the organizers. And the theme of the night for the TED Talks was architecture. And they asked me to participate. And I was like, I'm not an architect. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna bring here. And they said, we understand, we know, like, you've got your yoga studio, you're not an architect, but we would like a different perspective of the evening. So I thought, okay, like what can that mean? And then I thought, you know what? One of the things that I really learned and discovered for myself, and that I like to teach my students, is that personal empowerment of creation, of self-creation, of creating your life, of manifestation, and to look at that. And that's a type of architecture. That's a design. And it might not be a design of a physical building, but it's a design of yourself. I believe that our physical body is manifestation of our more internal, of our emotional body, of our spiritual body, that then it's shown through in our physical. And I know you've gone through a great physical change as well. And I know that you understand that personally. And I think more and more people are like, yeah, I can see that. I understand. It's like when our mothers were little, they're like, oh, when you feel good, you look good. And then you're like, oh, wow, like that's true, So,
well, that's funny. And it's funny you say that, because, yes, I have, for me, my entire adult life, with my weight, it's up, and I've been up and yo-yoing, and you've seen me heavier. You haven't seen me at my heaviest. and now I'm actually, I think right now I'm at the smallest I've ever been in my adult life, and I love it. Size 4, and I plan to stay there. But I'll never forget, this was back in the 80s. My mother said to me, I know when, these were her exact words. She says, I know when you're happy, because when you're happy, you're slim. And when you're not happy, see, I was an emotional eater. I get emotional, and I eat anything that's not moving, but, and then I would pack on the weight. So my mom said, I'll never forget, she's like, I know when you're happy, because when you're happy, you're small. When you're not happy, you're like this. And I've done it. I mean, I've been up and down, but now I'm to the point, I'm actually extremely happy and at a very good place in my life. So I know that I am going to maintain this.
Right. Because it's a lifestyle. That's what wellness is. And it's finding that perfect's maybe not the right word, but what is the you when you're most authentically you?
Exactly.
Doing what you want to be doing, when you're helping other people. I think that's always a big part of it.
Yes.
The connectivity that we keep talking about. It's all those things. And I believe that the universe supports that. So the universe wants you to feel your best. The universe wants me to feel my best, so that we can keep reaching people, and that we can help other people the best way that we can. And we have to do our part. We've got to do, we need to do what we need to do. But I think that the universe steps in. And
exactly. And it's unique for all of us. Like you went in and you followed your passion, which was yoga. And then I just got the inspiration 3 years ago to do internet radio. I called it internet radio show, not even knowing what podcasting was
Right.
at the time. I honestly, I got up in the middle of the night and I Googled, okay, how do I start my own internet radio show?
Wow.
And it took off from there. And it's just like you said, sharing, because all I do with this show is share. I find people like you from all walks of life who are living their passion and showing and demonstrating the oneness and what they do and following their passion. And we're all unique. So there's no other Laura, there's no other Caroline. We're all unique. We're just supposed to go within, find what really resonates, and then bring it out into the world. Yes.
I love exactly how you've said that. And part of the roadmap I hope to provide in Become the Architect of Your Body, Mind, and Soul is how do you do that? Because sometimes I found, one of the other reasons I wrote the book is in studying this my whole adult life, I've read a lot of books. There's a lot out there. And I've found some of the ideas difficult to take into everyday life. Like, well, what do you do when you're like a person and you have to interact, like, you know, with your in-laws or your mom and, you know, go to work and like your coworkers? Like when there's all these things that really on a day-to-day affect you, how can you take some of these principles and just say, okay, how do I really do it if I'm not, you know, living by myself or, you know, living in a house with these other people? How do I do it?
Right.
And that was a little bit of what I felt was a little missing gap in some of the books out there that I was hoping to provide. And everyone does have their own path. So it's not necessarily, well, you need to do yoga, you need to do this. Like, you don't need to do anything. But I strongly encourage you to find what is it that really sparks you and makes you want to get up in the morning. What is that? And then once you're up, you know, what is that makes you keep going from day to day? And I wanted to give people those things. Well, you know, when they hit these stumbling blocks or, they feel like they just, you know, we've all felt that way. Like, where do I go from here? And I wanted to give them, okay, when you're feeling that way, here's what I've done. And, you know, here it is. And I also wanted to give people confidence, because I think sometimes we have a feeling, we have a hunch of where we want to go or what we want to do, and we don't know how to do it. Right. And I wanted to give some little steps. Like, here's how to do it. Like, we've all been in those terrible relationships. We've all been in terrible jobs. We've all been maybe in a terrible living situation. Like, there have been things where we felt stuck, where we felt like, if I leave this bad situation, I'm stepping into something worse, you know, and you kind of feel trapped. And I felt that way. I think everybody's felt that way. I haven't met anyone who hasn't. Maybe but I think everybody's felt that way. I know I certainly have. And it was finding the courage to make a different choice. And then how to do that? How is there a way to do that you don't completely blow your life up, but you just start, you know, one little step in the direction you want going. And then you look back at the end of the year and you see it. Like, I think sometimes we forget, Caroline, that the rest of our lives happens one day at a time. Yes. So what can we do today? You know, don't worry about like, oh, it's my New Year's resolution. Like, well, who cares about that? Like, what are you going to do today? How can you today find what makes you excited? And how today can you take one step in that direction? How can you say one thing? Yes, I'm moving towards where I want to go and away from where I don't want to be. And that happens just moment by moment. And I take people through my personal journey of how I did that. And then I try to give the tools of, this is what I did. Now take your own situation and what can you do right here today? Can you do this? Maybe you can do that. Just giving a few different real life examples to help people in our everyday, those little everyday challenges, because challenges make us stronger, but it's the struggle that saps the life out of us. So how can we say, I am up to this challenge, instead of saying I'm defeated by this struggle?
Right. And I like what you said, because I know a lot of people say one day at a time. I've always said one moment at a time. Not even a day. This moment, you know, and for me, it's about grounding and centering. Like, if things are getting really busy and chaotic, I remember to just stop and breathe. And just in that, maybe 2 or 3 breaths, it'll bring me back to center. So for me, and like you said, for everybody, it's different. Because I've talked to people that say to me, I can't meditate. I can't sit still. Yeah. And I'm like,
right.
okay, I understand, So what works for, so you, like you said, you have to find what gets you out the bed. What really floats your boat? What really makes you smile inside? And then that's where you can find that center.
Exactly.
And
The masters always say there are many ways up the mountain. There's
Mm-hmm.
not just one path. It's not find this one way. And what I teach often in some of my advanced programs with my students is
Mm-hmm.
try to do like a little visual. Like if you kind of imagine a circle and a bullseye.
Yes.
We're all trying to get to that bullseye, right? That bullseye is just, that's it. That's where, we're most alive and everything's happening. But, you could go in this way to get there. You can go in this way. Like there's not one angle to get to the center. Like there's a lot of different ways. And one way is not better or worse. It's what's your way. And so the other aspect of that I look at in the book is discovering your own nature, like kind of knowing your mojo. Like, okay, I'm someone who's very good at sitting and meditating. Well, then this is going to be your first step to where you want to be going. It's maybe through stillness and that self-discovery. But if that's not your way, don't do it. Know that that's not your way. And then there's another way. Don't try to be that way.
Exactly.
Just be fully who you are. And I think that when we can discover fully who we are, how we do things, how we react to situations, and more importantly, what serves us, it's not enough to say, well, this is just the way I am. Well, if that's the way you are, but you look around and you're not living the life that you want, and you have to make changes, and you have to say, gosh, I'm always reacting this way and it's always giving me this result and I don't like that. So where can I make changes? So it's just about being brutally honest with that. And then through the book, I help you discover, okay, what are those tendencies? They're not good or bad. They're just you. And then what serves you, what helps, and what maybe is not so great, right? What's hurting, and how can we maximize the strengths? We all have them. We all have our strengths. We all have, I'll call them our weaknesses. I don't know that I like that word. But,
I understand what you're saying. And that's really good. I like that approach, because we are all different and we all find that way of going within differently. Some people do it, they can't sit still, so they have to do like a moving meditation, like yoga or something of that nature. So I do like that approach, because I want to say to a few people that tell me they can't sit still, but they're not happy. They can't meditate and they're not happy. So I want to say, well, then what is it? So, because I can't give you that answer. Only you can give yourself that. Only you can say, well, what is it that brings me some peace? And then build from there.
Right. And it's not, and the person who can sit still, they're not better, they're not more advanced, they're not anything. They just know that's their way and they embrace it. And then people who have, who want to be up and out and doing, and great, if that's your way, do that. But
and sometimes being in nature, sometimes just being in nature can help quiet the inside, because nature is so.
And it can be active. It can be taking a hike. It can be,
hiking or running.
It can be anything. It
could be. Yes, swimming.
Discover it.
Yes, that is so true. That is so true. So okay. Can you share more tips from the book, like practical tips? Can you share with our listeners, and also please share with them how they can get a copy?
Yes, thank you. I'll hold it up here again. Okay. So the easiest way to get a copy is to just go on Amazon. It's available on Amazon, and it is available even internationally through Amazon. I'm sure you have listeners from all over.
Yes.
You can search my name, Lara Alexiou, or you can search the title, Become the Architect of Your Body, Mind, and Soul, and it will come up. If you're more local and you want to stop by the studio, you can find us on the web at steamtownyoga.com, and you can look me up there. My email is there if you have a question you'd like to pose, I'm happy to connect. I love to connect with people. It's one of the reasons I love teaching yoga and having the book and all these different ways that I get to connect with people. So those are some simple ways to get in touch.
Okay.
So one thing that I will share that I think can be helpful is there's a chapter on, I call it learning. I don't think it's learning. I just think I call it let go or be dragged.
I like that.
Right. So it's catchy, right?
Yes.
Sometimes what happens is, say you know where you want to go. You're like, this is what I want. You have a great vision of that. And I'm all about that. I'm all about visualizing and having a clear picture. Then we start working towards that. Maybe you're even like, yeah, I see the picture. I'm taking my steps. I'm working towards that. And sometimes the universe has other plans, and we start kind of smacking our heads and there's a lot of resistance.
Right.
And so what I go through in that chapter is I don't want people to focus so much on the journey, on the step-by-step, just, keep in their mind, what that end result is. Like, for example, I'll take you, Caroline, for an example. You wanted to have this radio show.
Right.
And so you knew that was what you wanted, but you didn't know how to do it. But you just got it started. You were like, I don't know, I'll Google it. We'll get it started. You get it started. And then.
Yes. You're a little frozen, but don't go anywhere. I'm still seeing your picture. I'm not hearing you. Okay. Wait a second. You're frozen. Your screen is frozen. Internet connection could have lit down for a second. Let's see. I'm not sure can you still hear me? Because you're frozen. I might need you to go in and out. All right, you're back.
Are we back?
You're back.
Yeah, you kind of froze up a little bit.
I froze up. You froze up. You on my end, you were frozen. And on your end, I was frozen. But now you're back. Okay, and we're still recording. So all is good. All is good. Okay. All righty. So you were saying, go back. You were saying.
Yeah, so I'm talking about the chapter in the book, Let Go or Be Dragged.
Okay.
And what that goes to is sometimes we have a vision, which I call the what. What is that? For you, you were like, I want this radio show to happen. I want this you didn't even know it was a podcast. You're like, I want to be able to reach people in this way through this medium.
Right.
But you didn't know the how. And sometimes we get very stuck on the how. We think, I'm going to go here and do this and get this result. And then I'm going to go here and it's going to be this and I'll get that. And we start building in that way. And sometimes the universe has other plans and we get a lot of resistance. We start banging our heads against the wall. Whereas if we can just keep our focus on a bigger picture of the what and let the universe swoop in, and it will show us a path that usually we had no idea. Like, I just think of you, Caroline, that you had no idea all the people you were going to meet. I know that you got picked up from a bigger podcast, and that you guessed and they syndicated you and all these great things. You couldn't have put that together if you tried. You just knew that you wanted the podcast. And if we go even bigger, actually you knew that you had this mission within you. You had a message and you wanted to share the message, and you weren't so concerned. You were like, all right, the message, how about a podcast? Okay. And now you're like, well, now we can do it. We can look at each other and, now it's on YouTube and you can do that. So you've allowed these things to unfold. And I feel that I've done that in my life with the studio, saying, well, what do I want? I want this. I want to have a studio. I want to have a place where people can come under one roof and practice and meet like-minded people. But I didn't know where, I didn't know where that location was going to be. I didn't know exactly, what all the teachers were going to look like. Like I couldn't control those things.
Right.
But I could control that bigger picture and then allow the universe to unfold and be willing to see the other way, because sometimes we get so blinded on this is the one way that we miss these other opportunities. And that's something to always think about when there's like challenges are good, but when you feel that you stop growing, that's no longer a challenge. Like that's your resistance,
Mm-hmm.
resistance is stifling you. And when you're really like, it's just all resistance, you're not moving forward,
Right.
and you have to let that way go.
Exactly.
And there's another opportunity there. And if you keep focused on the greater picture so that you're able to have that peripheral vision open up, you can drop that resistance and let those little gifts come to you.
Yes, that's so true, and you explained it so beautifully. And it's we kind of sometimes get in our own way.
Yes.
when we feel like it has to be this way,
Yeah.
but we're like, there's more than, like you said, there's so many ways to get to the center. And I think of it as like a circle and all these paths coming, but I was thinking like a sun, like you draw a circle and all these paths going out in all different directions, but they all lead back to the sun.
Yes. Oh, so I love that.
Yes. And there's so many ways to do what your vision is. There's so many ways and if you allow the universe to actually lead you there, it's going to be so much better than you trying to force it into, it's got to be this way.
Exactly.
So yes. When we let go and let God. I like that, let go and let God, or let the universe, whatever word or term you have for God, because it's all one source, and just allow the universe to bring it to you. The art of, and I don't know if you're familiar with Abraham Hicks, but I love listening to Abraham. Just allow the universe and go with the flow. Go with the flow of life, because life is going to take you exactly where you're supposed to. If we try to put our mind in it, a lot of times we mess ourselves up.
No, we do. We do. Like you said, we get in our own way. The second tip I'd love to share, because we're here at the holiday season, and I know that a lot of us spend a lot of time with family, and maybe family we don't see all the time. And what pushes your buttons like your family, right? So I'll give you the little tip that I've written in the book about saying yes.
Okay.
My basic rule of thumb when I'm with my family is to drop all resistance and just say yes. There's a million things sometimes that my family might want me to do that are not my preference. Like I don't want to go to that restaurant. Maybe maybe there are things outside my comfort zone, whether it be food or, activities or whatever.
Right.
And we just have to remember that if we can just say yes to those things, the things that our families ask of us at the holidays are very small. Like in the big scheme of things, nobody's asking you to break any laws and do anything really crazy, right? They're all just like those just little nitpicky things that just kind of pull at us. And what I discovered was, it brings my family so much more joy for me to say yes than for me to hang on to whatever I think I'm hanging on to and resist that. So at the holidays, whenever, and it's goofy stuff, my mother will say, well, do you want to go shopping? I'll think, well, no, not really. Like maybe I don't like the crowds, maybe I don't, but who cares? Like that's 1 hour out of my day. And I say yes. So I tell my students as their little send off for the holidays, and I wrote a chapter on it in the book with some very specific examples in my personal life of where these things come up, and I can have the choice to say no, which is really all about me and my resistance, and it's not important, or I can create harmony in my family just by saying yes. And then when you say yes, you drop all resistance. So when you go to that family dinner, when you have that and you go with a feeling of, I'm just going to say yes to all of this, you'll see that the person across from you is beaming. They're so happy, and that's infectious. You're going to be happy. So once I started doing this a few years ago, I was like, this is great. Like I can handle all these family visits now, because I'm not going into that with the idea that, people are attacking me and I'm feeling uncomfortable and they're pushing all my buttons. I'm just saying, this is great. We can have a great time. And whatever they ask of me, because it's not that important, I can say yes. And I'll tell a quick little story that one of my teachers told me.
Yes.
Which is a great little story. He he was studying at a monastery, and it was somewhere in the East. I'm not sure it was in China. I'm not sure exactly where it was, but he was in a monastery, and he was talking with one of the monks there, and diet came up. And the monk said, well, yes, I'm mostly vegetarian. And my teacher was like, okay, how can you be mostly vegetarian? Isn't that a you are or you aren't?
Okay.
And this is what the monk responded. He said, well, I am vegetarian most of the time, but 1 week out of the year, I go home to the village where I was born and I visit with my mother. And inevitably, she makes me beef stew. And it would cause more harm to tell my mother I can't eat her beef stew that she specially prepared for me than it is just to eat the beef stew for 1 week. And he says, and then I come back to the monastery and I resume my vegetarian ways because I'm out to be in harmony with the world, with my mother, with my family. And she made that with love. And I need to say yes to that. I need to eat that. And then I come back here and I'm vegetarian for the other 51 weeks a year.
Wow. Now I'm so glad you shared that story because I just recently, this past July, became mostly vegan. Exactly like the story. And I can say mostly vegan, and some vegans will say, what do you mean mostly? I was like, I don't know, maybe 95, 98% vegan, because most of the time at home, I only buy that vegan, not even vegetarian, vegan food. I cut out all the animal byproducts, all the cheese. And I thought, I love cheese. I thought that would be hard to give up. Right. But I found this thing called nutritional yeast, which I love. So I gave up cheese easy. But so mostly vegan, because on the holidays, which we're right smack dab in the middle of, on the holidays, I eat what I want.
There you go.
And there's usually one holiday a month. Like January's holiday is my birthday. Mid-January is my birthday. Then there's Valentine's Day. Every month there's a holiday. So on the holiday, once a month, I allow myself to eat whatever I want. And sometimes, a lot of times, it's not meat or cheese. Sometimes it is still vegan, but I eat whatever I feel like eating. If I feel like eating, I love hot wings. If I feel like having some hot wings, I'll have hot wings. So I am mostly vegan, and I'm going to stick by that, you know. But I think, like I said, on the holidays, like your friend, like the story, pleasing his mom and how much joy that brings her, brings him joy. It's all about the energy and the feeling around it. So when on once a month on a holiday, if I have a little meat or cheese or whatever, and it brings me joy, the joy energy is more important than what I'm putting in my body. It's that energy.
Yes, because I believe that our energy of that changes how we take that in and how that manifests.
Exactly. That is so true.
As important.
That is so true, because everything is energy. Yeah. So long as the energy is with good intention and love, that's the energy surrounding it, then it's all good. Yes.
You said it. I couldn't say it any better, but I love that. Mostly vegetarian, mostly vegan.
Yes, I'm mostly vegan.
And releasing the resistance, and it's still coming. It's coming from a place of love. It's coming from a place of non-harming. It's coming from a place of acceptance, of joy, and it's creating a joyful situation for everyone involved.
Yes. That is so wonderful. That is great. Can you share one more tip from the book with our listeners? One more tip to help them, get on the right path to their own. I like empowerment. I love their own self-empowerment. That is what it's all about.
Self-empowerment, self-confidence, knowing how to make these daily little steps, maybe not even day by day, just breath by breath, moment by moment. Yes. So another chapter I have is learning when to say no. So you're with your family, you're saying yes all the time.
Yes.
How do you know when to say no? And what I write a chapter on is just reminding people that every time you're saying no to something, you're also saying yes to
something else. Yes.
And I think that sometimes people forget that. And I know that that's not a new idea. I'm sure I'm not the first person who's written that down, but sometimes we feel that we have to always say yes, that people are going to get angry, or there's going to be some sort of repercussion for us. But when you can start crafting your life, when you're really starting to become the architect of your life and your happiness and your well-being, which is going to expand upon all these other people, it's going to shine upon everyone else in your life, you have to start making these choices. And just know that when you're saying no to someone, that there's a yes right around the corner. So just think about that, because it goes the other way. If you're saying yes to something you don't want to do, to something you don't believe in, to something that doesn't nourish you, if you're saying yes to that, then you're also saying no to all of the things that are feeding your soul.
Yes.
And so you have to look at that and weigh in on those things, and take time to know that it's okay. It's okay to say no when you need to say no, because you have a vision and you have a yes. For example, you probably don't have everyone you meet on the show because you have a vision. You know, there's a yes and there's a no. I bet you've gotten some requests from some people and you think, oh, I don't know. I don't think that, that doesn't go with it. If I were to say yes to that, then when I get here and I say, well, this is the mission, people are going to say, really?
Yeah.
It sounds like you're saying no to that mission, So
exactly.
We all have these little ways that manifests. And
yes.
see, well, when I say no, where's the yes? There's a yes. It's really important to me in the life I'm creating, in what's bringing the most joy in the situation.
Right. That's so true. And it's like you said, what resonates, like with the yeses and the nos, what resonates. And like you said, it's like if your mom wants to go shopping, and even if you're like, okay, it'll make her happy. And like the guy with the beef stew, it makes mom happy. Well, so those are great yeses. But sometimes, right, like it does not resonate, everybody, and not resonating doesn't mean bad or good. Doesn't mean that person is bad and you're good. That does not at all. It's saying you just are not resonating, and it wouldn't really serve the purpose of the mission of the show to have someone on the show that's not resonating, Right. So it's exactly. So yes, it's so true. It's that energy and what resonates, and we can all go within and say, sometimes we might have to, instead of giving an answer right away, go within for a second and two and see how it feels. How does that feel?
That's so important.
How does that feel? If it feels like, okay, it's not a big deal and it would make this person happy, okay, I'll do it. But if it feels like, no, that doesn't resonate with me at all, then that's a definite no.
Yes. And the more you start exercising that, the less of those questions you're going to get, because as you start to really solidify what you're all about, that's what you're attracting. So you're going to get less even opportunity that people are going to ask you something uncomfortable, that you're going to be in that situation that's like, feels all strange, because you've so clearly, for yourself, for the people around you, for the universe, you've so clearly set up what you're all about. And that's where you're vibrating. That's what you're surrounding yourself. And that's another reason it's so important when it's time to say no, so that you start building up your energy, so that architecture of your body, mind, and soul gets really, really strong in who you are and what you believe and how you see the world, and that sunshine you're spreading and the people that are shining back at you.
Right.
And every time you miss that opportunity, you're chipping away a little bit at that foundation. And the stronger you can make that foundation, you're going to find that less and less you're going to be in a situation that even requires that.
Exactly. That is so true. That is so true. And I love the fact that you're bringing in the body, mind, and soul, because they're all equally important. A lot of times when we're here in physical bodies, we think, oh, it's just about the body. But no, it's just, basically all of our health. To have a healthy body we need a healthy mind and a healthy soul. All three have to be healthy and in balance for us to be truly healthy.
Yes. So, agreed. If we have time, there's one more thing I'd like to share.
Of course, please. We have plenty of time.
Oh, perfect. Great.
Yes.
And one last thing I would like to point out as well, and another reason I wrote the book, is I hear often from students, and I've said this before, I'm sure you've said it too, where we say, I know that I shouldn't feel this way, but I do. I know this shouldn't bother me, but it does. And we feel sometimes that if we're not happy all the time, that there's something wrong, that when something difficult comes across our plate and hits us and triggers our anger, depression, anxiety, lashing out, whatever it is, that suddenly that we failed at being human beings. And I wanted to address that because I hear that so often from people, and my heart goes out to them. And it's okay. Like, life, that's part of being alive. Like, we want to feel everything. And we're not trying to be, like, you can't always be up. Like, you have to be, you have to.
It's a roller coaster. Yes.
It really is.
Yes.
And so a big point in the book is not how can I be happy
all the time, right?
How can I recover when something happens that is uncomfortable, that does trigger all that negativity? What can I do to shed that and to find a fresh breath and a new start? That's really what the book is all about. I've gone through phases where I've suffered, from horrible anxiety, where I felt like, I can't get out of bed. I can't walk out the door. I can't face people today. What can I do when I'm feeling that way? It's not wrong to feel that way. There's nothing wrong with feeling that way. It doesn't mean I failed at being a person and all that. It just means, okay, I can feel that way, but I can't feel that way forever. Eventually I gotta get up again. So what are those tools? And that's a lot of what the book is. Like, it's okay to have those downs, but how can we come back up again? We don't want super high, super low. Like, we want to, we want a roller coaster, but not too much. We don't want a flat line either, because if you think, life, I like to think of, and I talk about this in the book, life is a heartbeat. The heartbeat, it goes up and down. And when the heart stops beating,
it's a flat line.
So we don't want a flat line. And if you're always happy, you're at a happy flat line.
Yes.
Right? If you're always sad, you're at a sad flat line. And if you don't feel either of that, when people are very depressed, you feel nothing. You feel numb. You're nothing. And so whatever you are all the time is nothing. So it's okay to have that contrast. It's just recognizing, today, what can I do today and then there's that. And then you're up and this is great. Let me recognize it, embrace it. Let me ride this wave, because I know that as life goes on, there's bad news is coming. Like, it's out there. That's part of our privilege that we get of being alive and being in this physical body. We get diagnosed with things that are not our preference. We feel things that are uncomfortable. Happen. And I wanted to give people those tools that say, when that happens, there's nothing wrong with you. It's all about how you're going to approach that situation, and you can do it. If I can do it, anyone can do it. There's nothing special about it. I just tried to, what can I do? And I wanted to write it down. That's the difference between you and me, is I wrote it down, right?
That's great.
Everybody else can do it.
Yes, that is so true. That is great. I find for me that the lows, I don't stay in the low, because, up and down my life. I found for me that now that I deal with the lows differently, that's where I see the growth in me. And so I don't stay there as long, I kind of stay on the mountaintop high, up here most of the time, and occasionally I go down. And when I go down, it's funny because I wake up and I'm like, whoa, on top of the world, which I love. But one morning, just about a week or so ago, I woke up and I wasn't on top of the world. and I couldn't, and there was nothing going on that, you know, it's like, okay. And then I thought, okay, yeah, because there's highs and there's low. So this is a low morning, but I was like, okay, what can I do? And I was like, catalog. I was shopping. It's near the holidays, and it's buy now, buy now, pay later. Oh, okay. Okay. I went shopping. That brought me right up. And I'm not a big shopper. You know, it was catalog. I didn't go out of my. I'm not like let's go to the mall and let's check out. That's not me. You know, I have my TJ Maxx as my store, but I go after Christmas when I hit all the sales.
That's awesome.
I just happened to look through a catalog, and I was like, okay, okay, and that brought me up. And then other things started happening. So that was the first step to start bringing me up. And then other things started happening, and the day turned it out. Even though I woke up in a kind of a low mood, you know, the first thing I started doing on catalog shopping, that brought my spirits up. Then other things started happening throughout the day where it just went higher and higher and higher. And by the end of the day, I was back on the top of the mountain.
I like it.
But yeah, so yeah, whatever, like you said, if you do, and there's nothing wrong with feeling low, because I was trying to analyze it. I'm like, why am I feeling low? And nothing came to mind, but I was like, it's okay to feel low.
Exactly.
So it's okay.
Exactly it. It's okay. And just like you discovered, you can have a we'll call it a bad morning.
Right.
Can you have a bad day? Okay.
Yeah.
But then you got to think, well, do you want a bad week?
Right.
A bad month? I don't know. A
right.
bad year?
Definitely not a whole bad year.
We don't want that. So that's why we need tools. We need to say, okay, enough is enough. Like I had this day, and now I'm on a day and a half. Let me see. What can I do? Well, you can pick up the book, right?
Yes.
And look right through. And I will just let the readers know, like, it's in very short chapters, and you don't necessarily have to read it from start to finish. You can, just look at the chapter headings and say, you know what? Let me just poke around and see if this is what I need for today. And that's what it is. You feel that gloomy morning.
Yes.
Pick up the book, open it up, find one chapter, and just say, okay, maybe this is what can help me do that. Because we don't want a bad week. You don't want a bad season.
Right.
You don't want a bad year. We want to learn how to recover. We want to go, okay, here it is. Nothing wrong with me. How can I recover from this?
Exactly.
Recover.
Yes. And like you mentioned before, it's like, okay, if I'm doing things always the same way, I'm getting the same results. And if I'm not happy with those results, then maybe I have to look at doing something a little bit differently. Yes. That's kind of something we have to, because if and they say that's the definition of insanity. It makes sense to me. If you keep doing the same things and getting the same results, but expecting different results, so if he's like, okay, if I'm not happy and I keep living my lifestyle this way, what little changes can I make step by step to really make a difference? Because those little steps will add up.
It is. Yeah. It's always the little things, I think. It's the big things are manifestations of a lot of little things. So the little things do matter. Like, make those little choices. Make those little happy choices for yourself. Yes. You find joy in the little things, in the small interactions. I talk a little bit about that in the book as well. It's those day-to-day things, smile at the person who gives you your coffee in the morning. Say hello to the person at the checkout. Those little interactions, that's our day. Yes. That is our day. Day to day, it's all those little things. And if you can do those with a positive attitude, not only does it turn your day around, it makes you feel connected. Yes. And it's the disconnection that we feel that brings us down. Exactly. When we're plugged in. Yes. That's a bad word because now we've got all our cell phones and everything. Right. I just mean when we're plugged into the universe. How about that? But we are tuned into the universe and the frequency of the universe. Yes. then we are at our most alive, our most abundant, our most creative.
Yes.
And our most joyful, and are able to reach and help not just ourselves, but the most amount of people. And, that's the infectious feeling of all those things.
Yes.
And when we're disconnected, that's when the gloominess can set in. So it's those little teeny ways to find the joy and to find the interaction. And I've given a lot of little ways, because it's, don't worry about the rest of your life. Like now, what can we do today? This is the only time that we have. Like, this moment is the only moment that we are guaranteed. You are guaranteed nothing past
this
the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And let's make the most of it.
Yeah, and that's so true. And especially this time of year, we're right here in the middle of the holiday season. And I know that it's been said that this season is when most people take their own lives, because they're so depressed and they feel so disconnected. They feel lonely, disconnected if they don't have a family and friends around them. And this time of year, they're like, oh, but I'm supposed to. And it's really not a supposed to or should. But like you said, is that a lot of times for me, I know if I'm feeling depressed or anything like that, I say, the first thing that helps me to come out of that is to think about doing something for somebody else. Like, even if it's just a smile, or like, just getting out and getting around people and just like smiling at a stranger or a person that gives you your coffee, that may just make their day, And so when I take my mind off of me and put my mind on others and maybe the little things I can do to help another person, and that just turns it all around for me. But it's this time of the year where we feel, a lot of people feel disconnected and at their lowest, and that's when it's good to share the truth of that. Just kind of you're not disconnected, we're all connected, but if you're feeling that way, maybe just reach out and do a little something to make a neighbor smile.
They might be feeling that
the same
way.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So true. So please share again. I want you to share your website and the book and where to find the book. I want you to share with the listeners, share again all the ways they can get in contact with you.
Thank you. Okay. The website for the studio is steamtownyoga.com. And on that, you'll find all of my personal contact information. You'll also find a page about the book, so you can look that up there. That's probably the one-step easy way to get there, is through steamtownyoga.com.
Okay.
You can also find it on Amazon. I know we've got a lot of like one-click Amazon shopping, especially at the holidays.
Yes,
so it's listed on Amazon for sale there.
Yes.
And I'm always interested to hear any comments, any questions that anyone might have that they might want to share their story after reading the book.
And it's so great because Christmas is next week, and this would make for anybody, for themselves or for anyone that they know that this might help, inspire them, because of your story, especially diagnosed with MS, and look at you, the picture of health and teaching hot yoga every day.
Thank you, Caroline.
Amazing. So, and they say it's an incurable disease. In my mind, there's nothing incurable, because I know the body can cure itself. So,
you know what? I'll say two things to that. The first is, I think that anything is possible.
Yes.
And the second thing is, what does it mean to be, what's cured, not cured? Like, what is it? Don't even look at it like that. Like, what is your life? Like, what is the life that you want? And being cured, not cured, what does that have to, it's like, let's not get pigeonholed about that, right?
Exactly.
Anything is possible. And maybe something has happened and you've been diagnosed with something. Okay, what do you want to do?
Right.
It's not a but, it's an and. This happened, and now, okay, let's keep going. Let's keep going. What are we going to do with the time that we have, with the resources that we have available to us? We have to use that so wisely, to the best that we can.
Yes, and that reminds me of something I always say. It's not this or that. It's this and that.
Yes.
Always. It's always both.
Yes.
Always both. Well, thank you, Laura, so much. And I'm going to see you soon. Because I have something for you.
Oh.
Something you told me you like. I have. And I'm so bad at keeping secrets. I'm not giving it away. But you'll see me probably this weekend. You can be at the studio on Saturday?
Yes, we are. Yep, and I'll be there.
Okay, awesome, wonderful. Yes.
Right.
Okay, well, thank you so
much. Thank you, and thank you to all of your listeners. And
yes,
I'll see you soon. This is fantastic.
Yes, you'll see me real soon.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. All right.